Hello and welcome. Got some very fancy new OPUS 13 spoilers for you today. These spoilers have been brought to us from Games Portal in Ringwood. They are located here. And you can check out their Facebook page here. Final Fantasy tournaments there are on Thursday nights, 7 o'clock. It's a pretty cool store, pretty chill. I'm there pretty frequently, so thank them once again for these spoilers, and away we go. Alright, moving on to our first spoiler, we have Mirage. Mirage is a 4-cost, 8,000 power forward, categories Pictologica and Final Fantasy Tactics, job Netherseer, so not a particularly relevant job type. When Mirage enters the field, your opponent selects one forward they control. Deal 4,000 damage to all the other forwards your opponent controls. Right off the bat, I feel like my boy Mirage is way too situational for his cost. You're doing 4k to your opponent's board except for one forward of their choosing. 4,000 feels very low. Even if they didn't get to choose one to be protected, it's still not a significant amount of damage. And the fact that this guy is a 4-cost rather than a 3-cost kind of hurts it even more. That said, this ability of, it's not quite a board wipe, but, untargeted damage across the entire board could be useful if you're intentionally trying to set up for your opponents to have damage forwards for, say, abilities like Sakura. But kind of whatever way you kind of shake this card, you're going to need other cards for it to work before it even gets a look at. You've got things in Wind, Pandemonium, Baleful, those classic stuff that you'd be kind of be doing with Fina, which you could also do here to a less effective way. Or it's not super practical, but another fun way to go is using Kuja's S ability up on the screen there, which I think is kind of fun. So obviously this card was made with Mirage's sister Rafa in mind, which we've already had spoiled. So Rafa is 2-cost, backup, job Skyseer. If the card name Mirage you control deals damage to a forward, that damage is increased by 1,000 instead. And on damage 3, dull, put Rafa into the break zone, choose up to 3 forwards your opponent controls, deal them 4,000. But I don't actually feel that either Mirage or Rafa justifies playing either of them. Rafa boosts both the 4k board wipe and Mirage's general damage by 1,000. So 4k to 5k. Sadly, that 4k to 5k isn't a super significant jump in damage, unlike say 7 to 8 or 8 to 9. Rafa makes up for this by using a second ability to deal 3 forwards 4k. This means that together you're hitting 2 to 3 forwards for 9. Obviously you've got both the forward that your opponent chose not to get hit by Mirage, and Rafa can only choose 3, so it's not a true board wipe, but 3 is quite a lot of forwards to be hitting. Here's my problem with that, even assuming you're kind of dealing 9k to things. There's way too many caveats to be able to do this damage. First, your opponent's selecting that forward that Mirage ability, isn't going to be able to deal damage to, which you can kind of assume that they're going to not pick something that Rafa's going to be able to play, because Rafa needs to dull for that ability, so they're going to know that it's kind of there. And even if you are successfully doing this combo, you're still playing 1 CP for the dull and then losing a backup. Not to mention you're having to play Rafa, which is not a super great backup in the first place. And apparently you can only do this at 3 damage for some reason, just on top of everything else. There are definitely fun ways and fun things you can do with Mirage. It just feels that you're having to work extra hard for sort of no extra payoff. In comparison, you could be doing, Genesis Avatar or Fiona, Renoa, for a board wipe, your classic Chantotos or whatever, which is double-sided, but there's enough good one-sided board wipes in this game that I'm not pulling forward to really play Mirage unless maybe you're gonna do some synergy with Sakura. Alright, our next and last spoiler is Oil Boil. 1 cost monster water, cat 8, which is kind of relevant. When Oil Boil enters the field, draw 1 card, then discard 1 card from your hand. Damage 3, Oil Boil also becomes a forward with 7,000 power. Okay, so Oil Boil. It's slightly below the vanilla curve for a forward of 1 CP for 7k. It is 1 CP 7k, but obviously it's not as consistent due to both the fact that it's also a monster, so it's going to be prone to a lot of monster removal that a 1 CP 7k vanilla forward wouldn't have, and you're only going to get this ability to be a forward at damage 3. There can be pros and cons to that, for one thing, because it is a field ability. You know, you can surprise your opponent. If you're at damage 2, they attack you again for 3, and then they try to attack you again for 4, and you're like, hey, no, I'm going to block with Oil Boil, because this is a forward now. You know, a better player will see that coming, but especially early on in a set, I could see people getting caught off by this 1 CP forwards. The other cool thing with it is cat 8, and if you do play it after it's damage 3, then it will trigger Renoa's abilities, and that's always nice. Cat 8 can be pretty strong in the right hands, so it's cool to see that. I do low-key think that the reason that the 1 CP ice monster for this set wasn't a cat 8 was to try to avoid this being too powerful and too synergistic with Renoa, but that's a little conspiracy theory on my part. This card's fine. It doesn't exactly jump out at me. I would have liked to have seen it sort of go the Pew Pew route, I think it is, and swap it around where it's a discard a card and then draw 1. So if you had no cards in your hand, it's just a free draw. An EX burst maybe, but obviously we've never seen a multi-play card have an EX burst. But you know, we're at Opus 13 right now. Let's shake it up. Let's try to experiment a bit. There is, funnily enough, actually some really nice Mobius art for Oil Boil, which I'll slap on the screen. This kind of would have been cool to see instead, but doesn't really fit the FFTCG card layout, as a lot of the important information for the card is in the bottom third. So I think I did a fan version of this, but I just kind of moved it around and tried to make it work. But I don't know, alternate cards art would have been cool to see some nicer art on cards when they already have it. I don't know. Plus, with this being simpler art, it fits a common and it fits, you know, the style that the other monsters are in. So I understand why they wouldn't want to go for the Mobius Oil Boil. As pretty much always in FFTCG, the monster style is just a standard format that they have for that set that they then alternate between different elements. So of the spoiled cards we've had of this format so far, there's a ice one and an earth one. I think of the 3 that I've seen, Oil Boil is the most consistent, as it doesn't require you or your opponent to have a forward like the other 2 to be, you know, useful when enters playability, but also is probably not as significant of ability to get in comparison to those other 2. So a bit of a trade-off. In general, I don't think I'm a big fan of treating monsters as default templates that you kind of tweak around a set format. I think in comparison to characters or other characters and forwards and backups that often like, okay, who is this character? What's their personality? What are they like in the games? What happens to them? How do we adapt that into a card? I feel monsters are pretty much placeholders. Here's a bit of Oil Boil art. We're going to make it a water card. What's water abilities could we put on this? And it's just kind of a bit disappointing to see. Opus 12, for example, we only had 6 new monsters, 1 for each main element. They all had the exact same format of when enters fields, they either do an ability that's under curve for what they cost, or they become a forward that's under curve for what they cost. And then the bonus is you have the flexibility between the 2. I'm not inherently against monsters as a concept of being, we're sacrificing power for versatility. That's fine, that doesn't bother me. What I'm less a fan of is monsters pretty much just being the same abilities we've seen on previous cards, but we're now going to try them at a slightly different CP cost. Maybe, you know, this is a dull and freeze that only happens when this dies, or this will get 1, you choose a dull or a freeze or something. They're not necessarily pushing the game into cooler new abilities. They're just reiterations of stuff we've seen before at a slightly different place on the CP curve. And that doesn't really interest me. That's not to say we've not had some cool monsters in the past. I just think it's more of a rarity than it is a common thing, as we see, I guess, in Opus 13, where It's a template. They're fine, they're good, but where the meta as in this game is right now and how powerful the best decks in this game are currently, fine and good doesn't cut it. Great doesn't cut it. Incredible cards just can't see play because they, you know, don't have the deck space for them, the meta doesn't allow them. You know, maybe Oil Boil will see play. I don't hate it. It's fine. Just doesn't excite me. You know, I wanna see a new card. I wanna have a strong reaction to it in some way, and I just don't with Oil Boil. It's fine. I'll play Urianger and res it for 1, and yeah, it's fine. I don't know. Yeah. So on that slightly anticlimactic end note, those are our spoilers. I hope you like the fancy 3D video card things. Those are always fun to set up. I do want to kind of go back and remake those style of things from scratch, but didn't quite have time for the spoilers for today. And that's it from us here at MogPod. If you want to hear more from us, then Facebook page is often where we go. There's also the MogPod Central Facebook group if you want to see even more MogPod good stuff. We're on every socials, your Twitters, Instas, YouTube obviously here. Feel free to check out Gains Portal in Melbourne if you can. Definitely would recommend it. It's a nice little store. And hope to see you guys in the next video. Alright, bye.